Hello everyone, Plato here, and today class is in session. On this video, we're going to be doing a traits tier list and looking at the numbers behind the scenes. There's also going to be a bonus section that includes player scaling and what the max roll on gears can be towards the end. All the credit for these in-depth numbers goes to user blahable on Reddit. Links in the video description below for the original Reddit post as well as the full spreadsheet with all the data so you can take a more in-depth look at your leisure. In our next upcoming videos, we'll be covering spells and then talents, so if you want to be the first to know when that video drops, hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell, and don't forget to like and comment, even if it is a comment saying I talk too much. Traits in Hogwarts Legacy can either be additive or multiplicative and has 3 ranks. blahable explains how additive and multiplicative traits work. For additive traits, all additive traits are added together and then added to 1, the base factor, to get the final multiplier. As an example, with 250 base damage with our Ancient Magic, if we use 6 of the rank 3 Ancient Magic traits, it would give us 0.6 each, and we would calculate that as follows. 1, the base factor, plus 0.6 times 6 equals to 4.6. We then multiply 4.6 by the base damage of Ancient Magic, which is 250, which will give us a total damage of 1150. So that means equipping 6 Ancient Magic 3s would increase the damage of Ancient Magic 4.6 times from 250 to 1150. If you're wondering where we got the 0.6 number from, it's all in the spreadsheet linked down below. At rank 3, the Ancient Magic trait gives us a 60% additive boost to our damage. For multiplicative traits, they're simply multiplied in series to arrive at the final multiplier. As an example, with 45 base damage on Defendo with 6 concentration rank 3 traits equipped, that'll be a multiplier of 1.09 each. We would then simply calculate 1.09 to the power of 6, giving us 1.677. We then just simply multiply that by the base damage, which gives us 75.47 damage. So equipping 6 concentration rank 3 traits will increase our damage of Defendo 1.677 times from 45 to 75.47. With that out of the way, let's take a look at each one of the traits, starting with Ambush. Ambush increases spell damage by 10% while concealed by Disillusionment. At rank 1, the additive bonus is 10%, rank 2, 20%, and rank 3, 30%. If you were wanting to play a stealth build around Disillusionment, this trait is not half bad. Remember, even though enemies can spot you in your Disillusionment, as long as you're not fully visible, you'll still get the damage from Ambush. Note that this does not affect your damage if you use an invisibility potion. This is a B on my tier list if you're a stealth gamer. Moving to Ancient Magic Focus, at rank 1, the additive bonus is 5% to our meter fill rate, 10% at rank 2, and 20% at rank 3. This is a trait that I would not recommend picking up personally, as we gain a good amount of Ancient Magic fill rate during combat as well as our talents in the core tree. This one is a skip for me, and we're going to slot this as a D on our tier list. Next is Ancient Magic, which increases the damage of Ancient Magic by 20%. At rank 1, the additive bonus is 20%, 40% at rank 2, and a massive 60% at rank 3. 100% recommend this trait if you want to feel like a god with Ancient Magic. Note that this trait does not increase your damage to Ancient Magic throw. That said, this trait is S tier. Moving on to our next trait in Control, which increases damage with Ancient Magic throw by 10%. At rank 1, the multiplicative bonus for this trait is 10%, 20% at rank 2, and 30% at rank 3. I really don't see a reason to take this trait personally, as a lot of the time we deal high damage to most enemies with our throw without this trait. D tier. For our next trait, we have Binding, which increases the damage of Petrificus Totalis by 5%. At rank 1, the additive bonus is 5%, 10% at rank 2, and 15% at rank 3. I would not recommend this trait over Ambush, as the additive bonus from Ambush is higher. If you're going to be playing a stealth build, the implication is that you'd want to be in stealth. While yes, the argument can be made that sometimes it is viable to cast Petrificus Totalis out of stealth, however, Petrificus Totalis does an insanely high amount of damage anyways. Most of the time you're going to one-shot enemies out of stealth with or without the Binding trait, slotting it in as D on our tier list. Next, we have Concentration, which increases damage of all damage spells by 3%. Concentration only affects our red spells, which include Incendio, Expelliarmus, Confringo, and Bombarda. At rank 1, the multiplicative bonus is 3%, at rank 2, 6%, and at rank 3, 9%. I've gone back and forth with this trait a lot. It's like the swift attack in Pokemon. I'm not sure if that reference really fits, but it makes sense to me. Solid A on our tier list. Next, we'll focus on all our damage spells traits in Destruction, which increases damage with Confringo by 5%, Disarming, which increases damage with Expelliarmus by 5%, Explosive, which increases damage with Bombarda by 5%, Scorching, which increases damage with Incendio by 5%, and Laceration, which increases damage of Defendo by 5%. At rank 1, all of these traits have a multiplicative bonus of 5%, 10% at rank 2, and 15% at rank 3. Personally, I don't see any reason why we would even consider taking any of these traits since concentration is just better in every way. Sure, it's a lower multiplicative bonus, but the fact that concentration affects all your damage spells means that all 4 of these traits gets a D from me. Then we have our curse-specific traits in Cruelty and Manipulation. Cruelty increases damage with Crucio by 5%. At rank 1, this is a multiplicative bonus of 5%, 10% at rank 2, and 15% at rank 3. Manipulation makes it so our Imperial target does 10% extra damage, and at rank 1, this is a multiplicative bonus of 10%, rank 2, 20%, and rank 3, 30%. Both of these traits gets a D on our tier list simply because the God trait in Unforgivable exists. For our next traits, we'll focus on our plant-specific traits in Deafening, Fangs, and Venom. Deafening increases damage with Mandrake by 10%. At rank 1, this is a multiplicative bonus of 10%, 20% at rank 2, and 30% at rank 3. Fangs increases Chinese Chomping Cabbage damage by 5%. At rank 1, this is a multiplicative bonus of 5%, 10% at rank 2, and 15% at rank 3. Then we have Venom, which increases Venomous Tentacula damage by 5%. At rank 1, this is a multiplicative bonus of 5%, 10% at rank 2, and 15% at rank 3. Similarly to our curse-specific traits, all of these get a D on our tier list. Why? Because Herbology. Moving on to our first God trait, we have Unforgivable. Unforgivable increases our damage dealt to cursed targets by 10%. Please also note that by default, enemies that are cursed also take 10% increased damage without the use of any traits. At rank 1, this is a 10% additive increase, 20% increase at rank 2, and 30% increase at rank 3. This increased damage to cursed enemies affects almost all of our damaging abilities. Spells? Check. Basic attacks? Check. Ancient Magic? Check. Ancient Magic Throw? Check. Plants? Nope. Curse damage just doesn't work with plants. Regardless, this is a S tier trait. For our second God trait, we have Herbology. This trait has to be bugged in terms of how much damage it gives us. Herbology increases damage of all plants by 25%. It really makes no sense that Herbology gives all plant damage this much damage when plant-specific traits give a maximum of 5 to 10% multiplicative per rank. That said, at rank 1, Herbology gives us a 25% additive increase in damage. 50% at rank 2 and 75% at rank 3. There is literally no other reason to go any other trait for plants. S tier. That said, we already know how OP plants are, but there's another reason why they are even more powerful. Stay tuned for my talents tier list video as I'll be covering the reason then. If you don't want to wait, this information is available in the spreadsheet, which is linked down below. Lastly, we're going to be looking at all of our defensive traits in Amphibial Protection, Anti-Venom, Cushioning, Goblin Silver Resistance, Lupus Protection, Necromantic Protection, and Protego Shielding. All of these defensive traits gives us a multiplicative decrease in damage taken from X enemy by 5% at rank 1, 10% at rank 2, and 15% at rank 3. I wasn't even planning on putting an F on our tier list, but all these defensive traits are F tier. There is no reason to take these whatsoever, as we'll cover why we are naturally tanky in our next section, player scaling, offense, and defense. Here's a quick look at how we ranked our traits on our tier list. Link to this graphic will also be in the video description below. If you want to make your own tier list, I uploaded a template on TierMaker, so do check that out. Also linked in the video description down below. Moving forward to player scaling for offense and defensive in this game are simply multipliers. Offense multiplies your base damage and defense reduces incoming damage by a percentage. The stats are both tied to a hard-coded value based on your power level, which is just the amount of each stat you have. Please check out the spreadsheet for the exact scaling, which also has a calculator where you can enter your stats and it'll automatically give you your multipliers. That being said, between 1 and 250 offense, the scaling is linear. Each point of offense increases your damage multiplier by 0.032. This means every 32 offense you gain, you increase your damage by 100%. So at 32 offense, you will deal 2 times the damage, at 64 offense, 3 times, and at 96 offense, 4 times, etc., all the way up to 250. After 250, the scaling becomes exponential, which results in massive increases in your multiplier for each additional point. For example, gaining 1 point of offense at 350 increases your multiplier by 0.255, meaning the value of the stats has increased nearly 8-fold from 0.032 per point to 0.255 per point, and it continues to increase in value as it gets higher. For defense, between 1 and 15 defense, you get a 1% damage reduction per point. Those first 15 points are the biggest increases you will see. After 15, the slope changes and you will linearly gain 0.122 damage reduction per point of defense up until 350 defense. After 350 defense, the slope changes and you linearly gain 0.283 damage reduction per point until 500. For health, it's an exponential increase from 1 to 40. At level 40, you'll have a maximum of 4,000 health. As you can see, our offensive scaling is absolutely nuts and our defensive scaling is not bad either. This is why the higher level we are, the closer to gods we become and don't need those pesky defensive traits that do absolutely nothing. It's a shame that there is no harder difficulty than hard as of now. Maybe we'll see a new game plus mode in the future where things get a bit more challenging. Lastly, a quick note about gear. The maximum amount of stats you can have on a piece of gear is 114. Gear can have up to a base stat of 78 plus 36 additional stats as a legendary bonus. So for those wondering, legendaries can roll up to 114 for either offense and defense. Perfect gear fully upgraded will net us 450 offense and 450 defense. That's it for this one, guys. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Remember to check out that amazing spreadsheet by blahable for the full deep dive on all the numbers. Links again are in the description down below. Feel free to check out any of my other Hogwarts Legacy content that should be popping up anytime now. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for the next deep dive tier list video we'll be doing on spells and then talents. I'd also love if you could follow me at my Twitch at twitch.tv/platobear. Till the next one, peace.